Hello, this is Peter Schneider demoing Assignment 2, the quiz app. I'm just going to reload it here on my Android emulator. We're going to put in a name, and we're going to give it gross characters to show that we can. It essentially just reads a string. Confirming the name, we have one of two states here. We have what I'll call the question state and the answer state. We're currently in an answer state without a question state, so none of the boxes are populated with answers to the question that we might want. So we toggle states by hitting the next button. It shuffles the button array. It grabs the correct answer from the hash map, pops it into one of those buttons, populates the other buttons randomly, and if there is a match on the two buttons, essentially kicks out one answer so that you don't have it. It grabs four answers, and the correct answer populates the correct answer, tosses out one if there's a collision there, and then we have the questions that have just been shuffled, and goes through that way. So what settlement grew alongside the hand-carved statues of the Buddha? That would be the Bamyan settlement in current-day Afghanistan. We have a little toast message that just tells you correct. Now we're back into the populate questions state because it's kicked us out. Now that it's correct, it's deactivated the buttons, and then we're going to hit next. So it's going to shuffle the button array. Is going to assign the correct answer to the question to one of those buttons in the button array that's been shuffled, so randomly, and then we'll populate the other ones. If it catches a collision of some kind, it tests and just takes that out and uses the last thing in the four answers that it's grabbed. Ptolemy's gift to Caesar was Pompey's head. Correct. Let's do an incorrect one. Formerly Rhodesia, what is the country in that rough geographic area now called? We know it's Zimbabwe, but let's say, and we've seen this pop up in the last one, Pompey's head. That would be incorrect with the toast message. Precipitated Bronze Age collapse. We have no sweet clue what did that. This one's Taj Mahal. Just Aurelian technically destroyed Library of Alexandria through siege. Commissioned the Hanging Gardens. We have Nebuchadnezzar II. Fabled Colossus was located at Rhodes. That's our ringer for Rhodes, Rhodesia, Colossus of Rhodes, Rhodes. And who destroyed the Library of Baghdad? Because apparently I was thinking about great things that were destroyed, hence Bamyan, Colossus, Alexandria. But this was actually Haglu Khan. Formerly Constantinople, it's the city now named Istanbul, because for some reason I was getting into the whole Eurasic region and was thinking in that way. So we have congratulations, Peter, gross full name here. I just wanted to test that it wasn't going to break. I got 9 out of 10 questions correct. It showed that was just the one I tested to be incorrect, so that we can see that in fact does carry the score, and we've got to play again and exit. So here for our main activity, we have the text box, the text edit box rather, and we have it populated with a default string that I've called greeting that is in strings XML, and that gets us to enter our name, and then we confirm our name, we have an edit text where you put your name. The message is populated with a string, and then we populate that, confirm name. In our next activity, there'll be quiz screen here. Here it's set up. It says, please start to begin the quiz, and that's another quiz start message that I've had in strings. All buttons have the value of not assigned, which is another resource I've made, unless, of course, they are assigned. Hit the next button to assign it, and then our results screen is not assigned, but it is actually assigned on instantiation, because as we click over, we pass an intent with person's name, the message, score, and all that, which is a string we build essentially at the end of the thing. And then we have a play again and exit button that are populated again with those resources in our XML file there, in the strings XML file. So the main activity is just our greeting screen. We only have a couple of controls here, and we use the intent here to essentially, we pass whatever text is put in there as an intent to the next screen, and then we, this is the on-click listener that essentially takes that intent, or takes that bundle rather, or builds the bundle. I'm not sure exactly how to model it verbally. Puts that extra in the intent, and then starts the next activity. We actually have a score key here that's going to be passed throughout intents. Just because I wanted to make things uniform, I wasn't entirely sure how things worked, so I thought uniformity is my friend here, then we don't have any weird collisions or omissions. You can see here we actually have a lot of libraries being imported that I don't necessarily use in this particular screen, and that again is for the sake of uniformity. Let's have as few collisions and omissions as possible. And then, of course, at the bottom here, we set up our on-click listener, which triggers this behavior, which starts the next activity, which is our quiz screen. Our quiz screen, as you can see, uses a lot more of those libraries. Again, built very stupidly, not carelessly, but definitely brutally. And here I have, this is essentially the main activity here. I create an array list of questions that is a new array list. I create answers, that is also a new array list. And then I create a hash map that I call QA hash map that essentially allows me to retrieve answers based on the questions I have there. Next, I get the contents of the intent to be used. And that will essentially be passed on to the next screen entirely. I don't actually use it here. I set up the screen. This is all these are the controls you've seen in our XML there. Well, actually, in the view of our XML there, I should say, the application view. I'm using the term wrong there, forgive me. I have a button array here that takes those buttons that I've instantiated, all but the next button, of course. And essentially, it just allows me to shuffle those. I have a string, a buffer reader, and an input string here. And what I do is I open the file, and this is where this section essentially allows me to populate the answers and the questions array lists with those lines. This is actually boilerplate from what we did in class. And here this is where we split it here. You read the entire string, we split it on the colon, which is that's just the delimiter I've decided in my raw folder, if I can find it, res, raw. Let's open this file, quizbody here. You can see here that I've not even given it a space on either side. I've just said, okay, what is it? And our delimiter right there is going to be our colon, and you split on either side of the colon, assign it questions and answers respectively. Because it's uniform data I've put in, the regex is really brutally simple. And then we make a hash map of both of those because we have questions and answers. Well, we can just directly use those temporary variables we have and just say, okay, make the hash map exactly what it is, and then we'll have that for later. We've got a little exception here. Again, that's boilerplate from what we did in class. And because it's so simple and so limited in scope, there is no error. I like that. We set all the buttons to disabled initially before we do anything. That essentially just does it to the screen the moment the activity is instantiated or started, rather, so that you can't click anything but the one button that we haven't declared inactive, which is the next button. The next button, this is the click listener for the next button, which essentially just says it disables itself. It disables the button, the next button, and then it says if questions is empty. Put the activity, put these extras in the activity that, in the intent that we're going to pass. Put the score in the intent that we're going to pass, and then start the next activity. But as we start with a new screen, of course, questions is not empty. We haven't deleted anything from questions. Questions array list is full of items, exactly 10 items. So it won't trigger that. It'll jump to the next block. It will shuffle the button array. That will shuffle the questions, and of course I shuffle the answers. Now, because we're shuffling both lists here, we do have the potential of having a collision between potential answers. So I address that a little later on. So here we, again, grab a question from the array list, pop it up to the screen. So first question goes up, and then we say, we enable all the buttons in just a loop there. It's a for loop, but for each, I guess, syntax. And then I say button 0, wherever that is, and there's set text to be the hash map value of the question. That was an awkward way to put that. But essentially, having populated the question, I go to the hash map. I say, this is the question I have. What is the answer key? Set button 0 always to be that. Now, the order of button 0 in the array list is going to change, so its position on the screen will change. And then I have get answers. And this grabs 4 answers from the list because I've shuffled answers. Potentially, I will get one of those answers colliding. So I need to make sure that I have the correct answer assigned to wherever the hell button 0 is in the array, and then I assign all these, and this just checks right here whether or not the text of a button is equal to the text I've already grabbed for my final answer, and if so, grab the last item in the list you've done. So essentially, if there's a collision, grab the last one, and then you're in the clear, and then that ends the check questions are empty, which ends the behavior, and that ends the listener entirely. And then I have the answer click listener, and this essentially, when you click an answer, will test if that answer tests against the hash map to see if the value is actually true, and I'll make a toast saying correct or make a toast saying incorrect. Then it disables all of the buttons, removes one of the questions from the list, and remember we check before we do any of the behavior in the answer section. We check if there are any questions left. This removes that so that eventually that will count down to 0, and we won't instantiate all of this, or we won't activate all of this behavior. We'll simply hit this behavior and it'll start the next activity, passing the username and score along with it. And yeah, that's essentially how the application works. And then we have the results screen, which just, again, uses a bunch of libraries. Has a bunch of libraries I don't use, sets up the screen, passes the values or grabs the values from the bundle, and then creates this string here, which sets the results screen display text. Congratulations, username is from bundle. You got score for bundle. Out of 10 questions, correct. And I'm messing the code up. And then we have a retry and exit logic. And that's the application essentially in a nutshell. Well, not a nutshell, in completeness. So I hope that demos that. I hope you're able to access this. I know you've got better home security than I have. You're a lot more vigilant. But I was thinking this might be a better way of live demoing the application rather than having you just kind of go through text files. Let me know if this worked. Thank you so much for accommodating me. These are ridiculous circumstances, both my own and the global ones we're finding ourselves in now. So thank you so much for your time.